23 days into the month of February, the year 2021. You're just in time for News Check on this Tuesday, a program that seeks to explore issues that are shaping conversations in the country. This week has been termed by those who are proponents of the BBI initiative as a week that is going to be very crucial for this particular process if the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill of 2020 is to move to the next step. Today, some have baptized it to be Super Tuesday, as several county assemblies are set to debate and vote for or against the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill of 2020. Of course, it is going to be forming part of our conversation right here on News Check, and we invite you to be a part of it at KBC Channel 1 at Serfine_Achieng is where you can communicate with me directly on social media. Serfine Achieng is my name, and our sign language interpreter is Lensa Odingo. Of course, I'll be letting you in on who I will be having a sit down with right here in studio to unpack some of the issues that are shaping conversation in the country. But first, I want to take you through how the situation is like across the country. We are talking about the BBI bill. That is how it's popularly known. When you see black, that means these are counties that have not, I would call them untouched. They've not decided. We've not known, at least publicly, where they fall with regards to whether they support the BBI bill or not. When you see green, these are counties that have already voted, and they voted yes for the BBI bill. And when you see red, that is a no vote for the BBI bill. So let me take you through which counties we are talking about. So far, if you look at my list here, about 11 counties have already debated and voted for the BBI bill. And let me just start with the no vote that is outrightly standing out. This is Baringo County, so far the only county that has voted no for the BBI bill. But what is happening across other counties is that in Siaya was the first county to pass this particular bill. Kisumu County there. Then we have Homa Bay County. Busia is also one of the counties that has given this particular bill a green light. We have West Pokot County also in the list of those who've given it a no. Kajiado County as well. We've seen the county of Kisii, the neighboring county of Migori, is yet to discuss and vote for or against the bill. We have Vihiga County. Vihiga County has already given the direction and they're supporting the BBI bill. Then just the other day we saw the Nairobi County Assembly, after conducting a public participation exercise, went ahead and members of the County Assembly, a majority of them passed the BBI bill. And then we had Laikipia County also joining in the list of those who are saying yes to this particular bill. I believe majority of these counties have indicated the fact that they've gone through the public participation forums. I will be engaging my panelists on this particular issue of public participation to find out how effective it was, whether it was conducted in the right way, or how it ought to be for the remaining counties that are yet to discuss and put the contents of the BBI bill on the table and discuss it, how the public participation is supposed to be guided vis-a-vis the politics that we're seeing right now. So as you can see, my list is 11 counties. As at yesterday, I believe Samburu County also joined this particular list after passing the BBI bill. We are expecting a lot to take place in the next few days. So far in the no list, only Baringo County is the leading county that has already said outrightly that they are not supporting the BBI bill. Of course, surrounded by a lot of controversy, but it is a story we are following up on as well to see to it how this process was conducted. But that is the situation as we speak this particular morning after the BBI initiative, according to the IEBC, got a nod after it surpassed the 1.4 million signatures of registered voters. But as yesterday, IEBC also said that at least the verified signatures got to somewhere around 3 million. So we will be looking at the way forward for the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill of 2020, discussing what it carries for the country, what promise is there, what are the hits, what are the misses, and what is going to shape the voting process going forward. What are the MCAs supposed to consider before they decide whether to pass or not to pass the bill that is going to be crucial in informing the future of this particular country. So those are going to be some of the issues we will be unpacking right here on News Check, and we invite you to be part of the conversation. I told you, just to remind you, our social media handles at KBC Channel 1 at Serfine_Achieng is where you can communicate with me directly. This is News Check, and we're just going to be taking you through the reporter's diary to also find out what our reporters are out and about tracking for you. But when we come back, it's a panel of 3 gentlemen. I'll be having a sit down with Simon Gakuru. He is a legal expert. We are also going to be having Hon.Jayendra Malde, the Member of Parliament for Parklands, the MCA for Parklands, I beg your pardon. And of course, we're going also to be talking to Fred Okango, the Secretary General of Thirdway Lands Party, as they share with me their insights on what is shaping the politics in the country. Car grants, whether it was an empty promise or a promise that is going to be fulfilled, that is also going to be thrown in our conversation. Why don't you start throwing in your comments and your opinions, and we'll be sampling some of them as we continue. But for now, it's the reporter's diary. All right, so right now I told you we'll be in between the program. We are also looking at some of the events that are happening across the country, and of course just taking you in on them. But then right now we want to take you to a conference that is currently happening in Mombasa. Let's just listen in to Alfred Mulolwa, the director of Cusco Coast and Northeastern Branch, currently speaking.
God is good. At all the time. Yes, I will take this opportunity to welcome you all to this Leaders Convention here in Coast. And as I do so, guests of honor, sir, I would like to let you know the people in the room. They are from all the corners of this country, and I will introduce them as this. Leaders, wenyeji, leaders from Coast, please stand up. Leaders from Coast, appreciate them, leaders from Coast. Asanteni sana watu ya Coast, na tumefurahia kwa makaribisho yenu, and we hope to come back again same time next year. Your neighbors, Eastern, leaders from Eastern. You can see guests of honor, people from Eastern, asante sana. Leaders from Central, your neighbors also from Central. Very good, asante sana, karibuni sana. Leaders from Nairobi, normally they are told in large numbers. See you, guests of honor, you can see, asante sana, viongozi kutoka Nairobi. Leaders from Northeastern, we are always represented, but Northeastern, okay, we hope next time. There's one, Karibu, asante sana. Leaders from Lady Valley, Bonde la Ufa, asanteni sana all the way, wakiongozwa na National Vice Chairman, leaders from Western. Very good, leaders from Western, karibuni sana. Okay, leaders from Nyanza, asanteni sana, karibuni sana kwa kongamano hili. Basi, as we have done that, we look at Cusco delegates. All Cusco delegates, including the one who is standing here. Cusco delegates, asanteni sana, led by the man who led us in the players, Islamic players. Asante sana. We have CIC, either delegates, leaders, or directors. CIC, asanteni sana, karibuni sana, led by their director Dohio David. Asante sana. Cooperative Bank, leaders from Cooperative Bank, delegates, directors, staff. They have attended in large numbers. Asanteni sana, Cooperative Bank. Sasra, I saw a big delegation from Sasra. Okay, maybe they are. Oh, we can see Director Bwana Johona. Karibu sana, Johona. CAK, I represent them. I'm a director of CAK. Any other CAK? Oh, Director, asante sana. And I. Thank you so much. Nashu, maybe they are still on the way. Commander has, yes, Nashu. Yes, let's look at the county government. The directors, county directors of cooperatives, if any. Oh, yes. Asante sana, karibuni sana, led by Director Alemo. CC. Yes, I can see there. Asante sana, karibuni sana, Margaret Masharia, Uko, and we are good. Lastly, not really last, Cusco directors. Please allow me, because they are the host.
All right, so speaking there is Alfred Mulolwa, the director, Cusco Coast and Northeastern Branch, speaking at a SACCO leaders conference happening in the coastal region. We have our reporters there following up that conference for us. We'll be giving you details, and in between the program as well, as soon as we receive, interactions from our reporters who are out and about tracking events that are currently happening in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and other parts of the country. We'll be taking you straight and direct to those events so that you can also be part of them and know what is happening in your country. But in studio, we want to have a very important conversation right here on News Check. We usually take time to unpack some of the issues that are shaping the news in the country for you to get a clear bearing on how this will impact your life. And of course, we have a lot going on, talking politically. There's a lot that has really shaped conversation in the country in the past few days. And today, as we are having this sit down, is what some have baptized Super Tuesday. So is it going to be indeed a Super Tuesday or not? Are we, in for a surprise or not? These are questions that we will be answering right here on this program. So allow me bring in my guests for the program this morning, just to introduce them. I'll begin from where I am right now sitting. I am having two gentlemen, and I'll begin by introducing the gentleman at the center. His name is Simon Kamau. He is a lawyer by profession, and of course he also has a lot that he's going to be sharing with us on the road to 2022. And of course we're having Fred Okango. Fred is the Secretary General of Thirdway Alliance Party. Thank you, Fred, for creating time for us this morning.
Thank you.
And we're having Hon.Jayendra Malde, the MCA for Parklands. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for creating time.
Thank you.
All right, so this morning there's a lot happening. I took you through the list of counties that have voted yes for the BBI bill, and the county, Baringo County, the only county that has voted no for the BBI bill. But of course, the voting process still goes on across several other counties. Remember, the constitutional threshold is supposed to be at least 24% 24+ going. So will the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill of 2020 surpass that? That is what we are yet to see. But gentlemen, it's been a busy week, and it's going to be yet another busy week for the country. I'd just like to, first of all, get your quick thoughts about what we should be expecting in the remaining days as county assemblies are going to be discussing the BBI bill. I'll start with you, Fred, from where you sit. What do you see as the way forward? What can you predict?
Thank you, Serfine. First of all, it's indeed a Super Tuesday.
Is it?
And I would not even call it a Super Tuesday. It is a Super Tuesday because the constitutional provision of Article 257(7) requires that the bill must be approved by majority of the counties. That means 24. In my projections and in my knowledge, I estimate that by end of today, that threshold shall have been met, and if it's not met, shall be remaining in just one county. Majority of the counties is 24. Number two, the requirement is that that bill should be moved to Parliament without a delay. So what we expect that is that bill will be in Parliament immediately. That is the law. Then the other thing that we are likely to see is a full throttle campaign for the bill, because remember, this bill is a popular initiative, and therefore it means the propositions from this bill came from the public. And if the public have given their propositions, and those propositions have been formulated into a bill, and therefore the expectation of public participation continues right from the time they endorsed it, giving it a nod of over 1 million. We are told now it is 3. Now county assemblies, and all the way to the referendum that will be the last stage of public participation. I project that majority of the people that were against this bill are likely to do a U-turn and support it. Support it why? Because the bill has got a very strong projection of economic growth. It has a very strong projection of political stability. It has a very strong projection of social stability. And therefore, in my estimation, going forward, starting tomorrow, you will start listening to opponents becoming proponents. Then you'll start listening to proponents becoming super proponents. In my projection again, I see a situation where this bill will end in a referendum, and I project 70% approval again.
70%, that is very ambitious. And we'll talk about that in a bit, but let me just cross over to Mheshimiwa for a bit. I'm coming to you, Simon. Mheshimiwa, Nairobi County Assembly is already on the list. It gave the bill a nod. Probably you can tell us a bit about what informed that decision. And of course, do you foresee this being a Super Tuesday? On the coming days, a majority of counties supporting this bill, as Fred is saying?
Thank you, Madam Serfine. Good morning, Kenyans, and I am really humbled and honored today at KBC Channel 1. As I said, this is a Super Tuesday, and definitely Kenyans will talk, and hopefully today, I think we will surpass all the 24 counties for the yes vote in Building Bridges initiative. It is good for the country, and it is good for the grassroots and to all the Kenyans. That is the creation of jobs in all the counties. And again, Building Bridges initiative is not for the leaders only. Leaders will come and go, but Kenya will remain. And our visionary leaders, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, has brought the handshake government because we don't want the problems every 5 years and instability in the country. We want to move forward. We want to grow our country like Singapore and Korea. So definitely this is a Super Tuesday, and definitely we will pass this at the end of the day to most of the counties.
All right. Mheshimiwa, just staying on you, there has been a lot of concern about the politics that is there and the risk of it overshadowing the process. For Nairobi County, to be specific, what is it that, as leaders, you did to ensure that this was a people-driven process, that it was not, placed on the people, but then it was coming from the people? What is it that you did to ensure that the vote was actually representing the voice of Wanjiku?
Thank you, Madam Serfine. Before it was an optimistic, but you see, we had educated Nairobians. through public participations. And now people had known that what is the best for the Nairobi County. That is the reason we had supported the BBI, Building Bridges initiative through Nairobi City County, and it is overwhelmingly 114 votes has been passed. There was no abstention, there was no against. So you can see that all the Nairobians are very much focused. But again also, our role is the representation and legislations and oversight for the Nairobi City County. And I think now people, Kenyans, Nairobians knows that what is the good for the county. And it will create a lot of jobs on the grassroots levels. And the best part will be that we'll be getting the funds as the MCAs to invest in the wards. That was the biggest challenge up to now in the 2010 constitution. But I think the initiative is really good for the BBI, and we will go to the grassroots level, and all the MCAs will be getting the development funds also.
All right, Mheshimiwa, we'll get into the details of the BBI and what is good and not good about it later. But Simon, also your opening remarks. Is this going to be a Super Tuesday from where you sit?
Thank you.
And a Super Week, let's call it, because some will continue discussing it in the coming days as well.
Yes, indeed. So thank you very much, Serfine. And Kenyans are highly expectant. They're excited. And as one of the political players have said previously, it is a constitutional moment. Kenyans seem to be full of hope. And BBI is coming in at a time when Kenyans feel that going forward, where people need now to anchor all their dreams and aspirations in the Constitution. And we seem all to agree that it is indeed a Super Tuesday. But just before we get there, and before I give my opening remarks, allow me to, on a sad note, to pay tribute to the fallen Juja MP, Honorable Francis Oitito. I wish to take this opportunity to pass my condolences to his family and to the people of Juja. He was a great member of parliament, and he happened to pass on yesterday. So even as we proceed, I thought it would be considerate for us this morning to also get in touch and with that reality in the political arena. That said and done then, as my colleagues have said here, we are expecting that this bill will attain the threshold as envisaged in the Constitution. Chapter 16 of the Constitution lays down the process, the constitutional amendment process. And the threshold is 24 for the counties. And so far, you've in your opening remarks, you did highlight the 11 counties that have already passed the bill, or rather have approved the bill. So from where I sit, it could never be better. I think it is indeed super. And we are looking forward to even more than 70% when it comes to the referendum. There were, of course, a few voices that have not understood the BBI. But my opinion is that the public participation has been effective. And that is why you can see most of the county assemblies have understood, they have internalized, and they now know what BBI is all about.
Okay.
So today, for example, where I come from, in Mount Kenya, I have received a lot of calls. I was calling MCAs and all that, and they're excited. They are just waiting to approve the thing, and we proceed and do the referendum. So it is indeed quite a constitutional moment for the nation. Yes.
What would be a surprise for you? A majority yes or a majority no?
A surprise? I would not be surprised at all, because we are expecting that it will.
Very confidently.
Yes, yes, we are expecting that majority of the MCAs, the county assemblies, will approve the bill. As a matter of fact, I think the one county that did not approve the bill, that is Baringo, is going to have a very hard time, because the people of Baringo, in my opinion, would have wanted the benefits in the bill, proposed in the bill. So we would not even be surprised to see some of them coming out openly to say that maybe they had not understood it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Talking about the Baringo issue, Fred,
yes.
there were quite a lot of issues that were raised, and we saw the dramatic sitting that was there on that day when the bill was shot down. There was tear gas even at the floor of the House, and later we saw MCAs, you know, talking about allegations of, you know, the process, it didn't follow due process, the no vote. Does it worry you about the transparency and the genuine motive of how, you know, our leaders are conducting this process, and should we expect surprises across other county assemblies?
Serfine, a week ago we held a press conference at Serena and condemned what happened in Baringo. As proponents of constitutional amendment, we believe that it is a process that should be given a fair chance, not just a fair chance, a democratic space for the legislators at the county assembly level to exercise their constitutional mandate that requires of them to consider the bill, discuss it, approve it on its merit or demerits. That did not happen. Let me just take Kenyans through briefly on what is expected of this bill. This bill is not a money bill. It is not an ordinary bill. Therefore, it is a special bill. And therefore, the process of executing this bill at the county assembly requires that it is tabled on the first reading, where the clerk introduces the bill, reads the title of the bill, to be Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. And at that point, there's no debate. You know, the bill is then subjected to a sectoral committee. In this case, is Justice and Legal Affairs Committee at the county assembly. Then that committee takes the bill to the public participation. I'm sure you have seen in the newspapers. All the 47 counties that received this bill on 25th of, was it on February, have advertised for public participation. And public participation is a continuous process, particularly at the moment when we don't have Public Participation Act. But that is not the issue. The issue is the conduct of the MCAs at the Baringo County Assembly. You notice that bill, at that time when they were discussing it, it did not go through the second stage completely, where the speaker should put the question after the bill has been fairly debated. So I fault them to that extent. The other thing is, Baringo County Assembly, what are they rejecting? Number one, they're rejecting allocation of 10 billion. Currently, Baringo County receives 5.04 billion annually. With BBI, they shall receive 10.3 billion. They're rejecting over 4.7 billion. What are Baringo County rejecting? They're rejecting 5% of the Baringo County allocations in total to go to the ward fund, so that the women who walk 8 kilometers to go and look for water in Baringo, the women who walk 500 kilometers to go and look for schools, the children who suffer, the young people who don't have jobs, they're rejecting that. And I urged in my press statement the other county assemblies, please, when you read the bill objectively, without political interference, without personality interference, then you realize that this bill is actually for the people, because the achievement of the socio-economic right as envisaged in Article 43 is guaranteed in this bill. For the first time, we're going to have a constitution that respects the Bill of Rights, not only respect, but also implements it through word, and using the word as the primary unit of accelerated development. Baringo have missed that opportunity. Number two, what happened in Baringo was about personality cult. There are people, and it's unfortunate that some of the MCAs acknowledged that they were told to reject it because of a certain politician. What they're forgetting is that the people of Baringo, just like the people of Homa Bay County where I come from and Nairobi where I come from, wanted a situation where they can now start measuring development at the bottom. And we are saying in this bill, it is a bill that has got a constitutional framework to measure development from the smallest unit of devolved function called the ward as you go up. The other people have told us that, you know, we need an economic model where you measure from the bottom, but they don't give us the constitutional framework. So we fault them to that extent. Again, lastly, so that I give my colleagues a chance to speak, Baringo have decided that they don't want to fight corruption. This bill provides fight of theft of public money and wastage of public resources as a criteria in Article 203 in dividing revenue. They are rejecting that. Baringo have rejected the strengthening of parliament by ensuring that not more than 2/3 of the same gender occupy Baringo County Assembly, occupy Senate, occupy National Assembly. It is unfortunate that one county assembly has rejected what will make this country go forward as a constitutional principle. It's unfortunate. But moving forward, we have seen a lot of county assemblies now embracing, and they have just realized that the people they represent have given them a mandate under Article 1 and tell them that we have delegated power to you, we want that bill. Today, because we call it a Super Tuesday, we are likely to see 11 more counties approving this bill on its merit, not because the member of county assembly want or political leaders want, on its merit. And I'm sure we'll discuss the merits as we go ahead.
Yeah, as we go ahead. Thank you for being sensitive to that. But then, you know, I like what is standing out, the optimism that is there. We are going to really dissect the BBI bill and see how practical some of these proposals are. Absolutely. Based on what, you know, critics of this initiative have said in the public domain. But Mheshimiwa, just coming to you, you've heard what Fred has said about what Baringo County is rejecting. And in that, as he was speaking, he was quoting quite a number of proposals contained in the BBI initiative. I'll take you back to what I asked you earlier, because there has been concerns and fears about the politics that is there and the influences that could be playing out from within to really channel this vote towards whichever direction it takes. I don't know whether what your sentiments would be with regards to this allegation, so that Wananchi can know that this is actually a people-driven initiative. You can cite Nairobi as an example. What is it practically that as leaders you did to ensure that you did not have a say, but it's Wananchi who had a say at the end of the day?
Thank you, Madam Serfine. I support my two brothers also here. And regarding the Baringo County, I think MCAs were influenced by the politicians. Because
they voted no? I haven't heard you say anything about the other counties that gave it a green light. What, no. Could they have been influenced as well to vote yes?
Madam, you see, we are independent as a politicians, and we had read the BBI document. It is the public who can decide or to reject it. But through the public participations, we got a green light that BBI is a good document and let us pass, because we are the representative of the people. So maybe the influence of the Baringo County was from the outsource, or maybe from some politicians also.
All right. Mheshimiwa, thank you for that. Simon, I'll come to you. And, you know, generally speaking, what are the chances that this actually is a process that is people-driven?
Thank you, Serfine. I mean, I don't know why you ask what are the chances, because the facts are out there. It's clear that from the word go, this was a people-driven initiative. If you remember very well, after the handshake between His Excellency the President and Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, then there was the Article 256 was invoked. That is the amendment of the Constitution through what we call a popular initiative.
257.
And 257, that is. And there was the committee led by the late Senator of Garissa that moved across the country collecting views from Wananchi. So from the word go, this whole process was people-driven. And if you remember, at one of the Bombers meetings, the president also came out and informed the people that were at Bombers that even his deputy had been informed of each and every step, to the extent that he was even requested to co-opt members in the BBI committee. So just to answer your question, it's not a matter of to what extent. From the word go, this was a people-driven initiative. And that is why, as my colleagues have said, each and every comment that is there, we saw the committee moving from county to county, talking to stakeholders, town hall meetings with the youth, town hall meetings with the business people, town hall meetings with political leaders. So from the word go, the BBI has been a people-driven initiative.
Where do you place allegations that this process may have been politicized and we could just be missing the point and focusing too much on the politics that it has attracted?
Politicized, you see, Serfine, people have to understand that as much as it is a constitutional process, it also has a lot of politics in it, because we have to see that politicians are more or less the ones taking the lead. But then you find that there are people that who are politicians that feel maybe the moment this bill is approved and the whole process goes through and the constitution is amended, they feel probably their ambitions, selfish ambitions for that matter, may not be met. And those are the people you are seeing around trying to allege, you know, bring up baseless allegations, trying to fight what already is a people-driven initiative. Are you together? So, and as my brother Fred here is saying, as we're saying it's a Super Tuesday, it's because from the word go, the MCAs appreciate the fact that this was a people-driven initiative. And so if they voted otherwise, for example, and I think the people, the MCAs from Baringo are going to regret. They're going to face it rough. It's a Super Tuesday for Kenya. For them, it's going to be a horrible Tuesday. Because they're going to realize that they just missed a golden opportunity. So for me, and as my brothers have said, Kenyans have seized the moment. And I want to really appreciate the leadership of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta and his handshake partner for sitting down and realizing that time has come and there was need to anchor some of these very important issues in the Constitution. So my sister Serfine, for me, and as my brothers are saying here, it's a people-driven process, it's a constitutional process, it's a legal process, and I have no doubt that it's going to go well, and Kenyans are going to have all these issues anchored in the law for the future posterity and prosperity of this republic.
Okay, Simon.
Yes.
Fred, you have not given me your, remarks on this particular subject. I want to set it aside, but I just want to get your quick reactions to it as well. Can you give the same assurance? Some say this is, you have to strategically place yourself, because 2022 is knocking. You have to speak a language that will make you sellable. So when BBI comes, make sure you are on the right side of issues. I mean, what are the chances that politics is not preventing us from seeing it for what it is, the BBI process?
Serfine, the politics of the day should inform our decisions as politicians and as professionals. Constitutional amendment worldwide are political processes. In fact,
Correct.
there are 70% political processes
Correct.
and 30% legal processes. They're politically driven, they're politically mobilized, they're politically executed. And therefore, I submit that this process is largely a political process. And politics is about competition. So anyone who argues out there that this is about political influence, I agree with him or her.
That it's for 2022.
Not necessarily. Politics is for the future, you know, it's not about 2022. But let me tell you, the contents of the BBI Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 are beyond a political talk. Because when the BBI proposes that we are going to ensure that we implement the constitutional principle that guarantees equality of vote and fair representation. We have countries in this country that are underrepresented. The Constitution of Kenya today requires that the population quota is met, that each member of parliament shall take care of at least 134,000 people. Look at Ruiru, 600,000. We are against the Constitution. The Constitution of Kenya today, under the Bill of Rights and the provisions of general principle of electoral system, require that not more than 2/3 of the same gender shall occupy a public elective body. In this country today, that principle has not been achieved. Duale 1, Duale 2, all the way to Duale 6, it has never been achieved. The surest way today is ensuring that we amend the provisions of law that now guarantee achievement of that principle. The Constitution of Kenya today requires that we strengthen the objects of devolution by ensuring that the people at the ward level, at the county level, manage their own affairs and development. That's the object of devolution at 174. But what has been happening? Money gets at the level of the county, it doesn't go beyond county headquarters. Today, to ensure that people of Kakelo Kokwanyo ward, where I come from, my village, manage their own affairs, they get 5%. In essence, what I'm saying, Serfine, the amendment of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 by BBI is actually ensuring that we implement the Constitution of Kenya 2010. I've given you 3 principles. So when somebody says that it's a political process, I wonder, what political process are you talking about while these provisions are ensuring that we implement? Remember, as we came from the what's called Punguza Mzigo. And if you look at the aspects of Punguza Mzigo, all of them today, I can confidently tell Kenyans, they are in BBI because we are the first people who talked about 35%.
I'm actually, earlier I was listening to you and I was actually asking myself, is this the same Fred Okango
I was here. I was here, and at that time,
Serfine,
at that time, the only food on the table was Punguza Mzigo. We executed to the best of our knowledge. Today, if you look at the 15 issues that we are canvassing at the county assemblies where Mheshimiwa was, 11 of those issues are in the BBI, and they are issues that are dealing with the burden of economic inequality, the burden of political inequality, the burden of social inequality, all those issues. Burden is not just about numbers. Mzigo is not about numbers. Mzigo is about the economy. The majority of Kenyans who pay taxes today are not getting the services. Why? Because those services end up at the county headquarters. Drive around, go around in any of the county headquarters. You will see a very nice building. Life is well at the county. Go to the deepest village in the ward. There's nothing. That's why we proposed adopting the ward as the primary unit of accelerated development so that we can ensure that the provisions of law that require that devolution must reach every corner of this country is effected. The surest way, Serfine, to ensure that my grandmother in the village, your grandmother in the village, his relatives in the village get that service at an accelerated level is using the word. That is the law. Let's
talk to a leader who represents such an electorate, and this is Mheshimiwa. Just, tell me, when you look at the BBI bill, and I believe that as we speak right now, you have interacted with the document, taken your people through it during the public participation forums. What is it that is standing out for you as a win for members of the County Assembly?
Thank you, Madam Serfine. You see, the thing is the allocation of the fund. From 15%, it has gone to 35% if BBI is passing and referendum is passed. So you can see the development. Until now, there was a little development in the ward level. But if BBI and referendum passes, there will be a lot of development on the ward levels, and we'll get the kitty of the MCAs also for the roads, infrastructure, hospitals, schools. Right now, if you can see, our president has said 200 boreholes in the slums. There are 24 hospitals they're building in all the Kijiji. You see, that kind of things, it will happen, and the beneficiary is the people, is the Kenyans. So mine is to say it's a very good document, and I urge all the rest of the counties to again look into it and do the positive action.
Mheshimiwa Malde, for those who are asking what difference the ward fund will bring, because we have the CDF, we have the allocations to the counties, many are finding it difficult to understand what this is going to add, what difference it's going to bring. What will you say as somebody who represents a ward and knows the challenges as leaders you face, by having this fund actually made practical, what difference is it going to bring in your line of work?
Madam Serfine, you see, the thing is, until now, there was a CDF allocations through national government and through MPs. But again, as MCAs, we were suffering also. We cannot give the services to the 190 at the ward level. Whenever they come to the office, their needs is so many needs of the schools, of the hospitals, so many infrastructures. You see, we cannot afford, because we are not financed through MCAs. We don't have any funding. But as we said in the BBI, there is a 5% of the fund will be allocated to ward level. So we can give the services, and we can do a lot of infrastructures, and we can look after the job creations, like say the colleges, TVETs, and so many projects. We can do so many projects for the people, for the world, on the world level also.
Simon, I wanted to ask you earlier, just to paint a picture for us what lies ahead. You're all very optimistic about this Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill and how it's going to sail through across the counties. whichever direction it takes, what's the next step for somebody who wants to understand? Because it's all referendum this, referendum that. Mwananchi may not know what takes place in between. What is the process on the road to referendum?
Yeah, just before I come to that, you asked the issue of the politics around this whole process. And Fred has put it very clear that more than 70% of this whole process is political. Because you understand that when it comes to legal processes, they have to respond to the needs of the people. And as a legal scholar, when you look at it from the legal theories, it's what we call the sociological legal theory, whereby the law must respond to societal needs. So, and probably the reason why Fred and his Third Alliance Punguza Mzigo bill didn't see the light of day is because of the politics. Because I have taken time to go through the Punguza Mzigo, and I think it was brilliant. It was a good idea. But to realize that as much as it was a good idea, there was disconnection in terms of the political goodwill. So to answer your question as to the political influences in this whole process, I will tell you that it has to have the political backing, because if it doesn't have the political goodwill, then it will not see light of day.
No matter how good it is.
No matter how good it is. And I think Fred knows that better than all of us.
Fred, do you? Did Punguza Mzigo not see light of day?
Punguza Mzigo could not see light of day because you are not politically correct. The reason why you respond, the reason why BBI is going to see light of day, and we are all optimistic about the so-called Super Tuesday, is because we can see the political players in Kenya are fully behind it. The good thing is that, or rather, why I feel that it's a good thing for Kenyans is the whole thing is giving Kenyans a new lease of constitutional hope.
Let him respond to that, and then you can answer the question I asked you earlier.
Yes. Fred, don't you think it's because you people didn't?
Was it a political bullet?
The political goodwill.
I always find it very interesting when people all of a sudden start comparing the two documents, PMK, Punguza Mzigo Kenya, and BBI. Because when we tabled Punguza Mzigo Kenya, people said it is impossible. We went all the way from general formulation to a bill, signature threshold, to the county assembly, where it collapsed with the county assembly, where the BBI is
where
today.
we are now.
So what we are saying is Kenyans love the idea of lowering the economic burden. But as I said earlier, what is on the table today that we must eat today is the BBI, Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill. And in this bill, the chefs of the bill came and borrowed the chefs from Punguza Mzigo.
Really?
And today, the chefs of the Punguza Mzigo and chefs of BBI have cooked a meal. That meal is about to be served, and it will be very delicious. Now, as we proceed, the issues here are not whether which bill was better than the other or which bill collapsed at what stage. The issue here, what do the people of Kenya want? There's something that Mheshimiwa has mentioned. I just want to put a ride on it. The Word Development Fund, people have called it a sweetener. When we presented Punguza Mzigo, they also called it a sweetener. They'll continue calling it. But you know what, Serfine? The majority of people are in the villages. What constitutes the villages? The wards. So, this Ward Development Fund, some people have said it will be misused by the MCAs. That is a lie. Because the provision in the BBI Constitutional Amendment Bill says that Ward Development Fund, the 5% of all the county revenue, shall be used only, the constitutional wording is only for developmental expenditure that falls within the county ward. Okay? Number two, to actualize the rights guaranteed in Article 43. All those rights, whether you reject the bill or you approve the bill, they are rights that you need. Right to clean water, right to food, right to education, right to health care. You must guarantee them. They are in the Bill of Rights and it's inalienable. Number three, this bill, when people say that, you know, what next, how are we going to do? You know, first of all, the bill cannot be read in isolation. The bill comes with so many proposals on legislation. Number one of the problems that we have in this country is the issue of public participation. How do you involve the public so that they buy in the idea? And that's why Mheshimiwa and team have been involving the public before they approve the bill or consider it.
All right.
This bill, as I finish, Serfine, even in the ward development, it proposes a formulation of public participation. I mean, it proposes a mechanism through public participation that will now guarantee the members of the ward to ensure that their views in development or needs of that ward are taken care of. The MCA have not gone deep into the what is called proposed county ward development fund or Ward Development Fund Act that will require that now the public are involved, they give they identify development needs, that will come. But as I say, what we see today is a political process that is about competition.
Right.
And that competition, we cannot look at it in isolation. We must look at it with the context of the bill. What are we competing about? We are competing about resources allocation. We are competing about equalization of gender. We are competing about involvement of the young people and guaranteeing their needs in the constitution so that no one can get away with it.
How will BBI solve all that, Fred? We'll pick up from there.
Sure.
What we do now, we are going to be taking a very short break. We have a lot of issues we need to touch base on. The issue of whether this is adding Mzigo to the taxpayer. Some have raised concern about that. You're going to have the Ward Development Fund, we have CDF, we have an increased allocation to counties at whose expense. That we'll talk about later, and also the road to referendum, Simon. We're taking a very short break. We are coming back with much more. Continue engaging us. In case you have any question, post them on our social media site at KBC Channel 1. We'll be sampling some of them as we proceed. Let's take that break now.